Welcome back to Jennifer Broussard Art. Let's explore how to paint a neon sign using this photo I took in Flagstaff, Arizona. I'll start with using cadmium yellow and cadmium orange by Winsor & Newton and a number 4 round brush. Let's get started. I want to explain the outline to you a little bit. I outlined the coffee cup and the little shapes and the letters, but then I also did the outermost outline around the whole thing. And then I erased that outline so that I can barely see it, because that is where I want the glow to go out to. So this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy process. I'm going to show you how to do this shape here, and then for the rest of the shapes I'm going to be speeding up and slowing down as I need to give instruction. I want to give a shout out to Peggy Dean. I looked up on YouTube how to paint neon and I didn't find much. And I stumbled upon one of her videos from 3 years ago, and she painted a neon palm tree. So thank you, Peggy Dean, for your help in this painting. I thought, how am I going to paint this coffee sign that I took? I took it with the intention of making a painting out of it. Peggy Dean painted a palm tree, which is a shape and then some shapes for the leaves. And I was trying to think how I would apply her approach to these skinny shapes, and these skinny shapes making a bigger shape. So I'm going to do what she did. I'm going to take the lighter color and then the darker color and blend them out, and then I'm going to see where to go from there. So this is what she did. She took the point of her paintbrush and put it on the line and painted the lighter color, rinsed out the brush, and faded it out. And I didn't practice this. I probably should have, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to take a little bit of that off. And then she did the same thing with the orange, with the darker color. And you can see how you get a glow. Isn't that pretty? And then you fade that out. And then you proceed in that way around all the shapes. So I'm going to turn my board and I'm going to do that same thing on this side. I want this to be soft. I'm going to get the orange, a little more. Okay, I want this to be soft. And that worked pretty well. I think that's glowing very nicely. Okay, I'm going to get the yellow. I'm going to skip this shape since that's wet and go to this shape. Rinse and then soften. And get the orange. I think that's really cool. Okay, now this side, I'm going to get the yellow. Oh, you know what I didn't do is I didn't soften that. There really is a process. Okay, I'm going to dry that and then do the middle one. All right, I'm going to continue with the middle shape. I'm going to do this one again right here. There. I really like how that came out. I think that is really cool. I'm going to keep this in mind also for doing candles, flames, or other lights. This is really cool. All right, I'm going to get a little more yellow. I'm going to proceed with the rim on the cup. So there it is, all dry and finished. And now I want to either make it better or make it worse. I'm not really sure. I'm going to wet the outside of the big shape. I don't know if you can see, this is the line that goes around the outside of the whole sign. And I'm going to wet it, and then I'm going to put some cobalt blue. So let's see how that goes. I get this, get my number 16, silver black velvet. I can cover a lot of ground with this. It has a nice pointy tip, and I can get into the little crevices with it and not have to change brushes. Okay, I'm gonna move forward, I'm gonna move in from the outside. Doesn't really matter how you approach this. There's a lot of water sitting on the paper, so I'm just gonna tilt and get some of it off. Okay. The idea here is to make the area next to the light be light blue, like you're looking at a window. And then when this is dry, I'm gonna wet it again and put on some, what did I get? Indanthrone blue. And I'm not going to go up to the edge with that. So it'll get a little bit darker as you go out to the outside of the painting. I like this with the cobalt blue. So it looks pretty. The blue and the orange you're always going to win with this, with blue-orange combo. It would be fun to do this with the Stranger Things logo. I don't know why I just thought of that. Okay, and now we let it dry. Now I'm going to wet the whole thing again. I'm going to be very gentle so I don't disturb a lot of pigment. Right up to the edge. And I'm only going to go halfway down. I'm going to wet this in segments. I'm going to go to about here, so I'm going to wet it down to here. Okay, so I'm going to go to about the handle. I'm going to get out the indanthrone blue, which is a really dark, dark blue. And I'm going to try that out. Oh, look at how pretty that is. That is so pretty. What a beautiful color. And I'm going to go just roughly up to the line. You know, I'm using the back of the paper. I think that's why I'm getting so much water sitting on top. So I'm going to get my number 10 and just damp brush around this. Okay, now I can add more pigment back in now that I have less water. I want this to be a little more the same shape. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more of that right here. Damp brush this, it's creeping up. Okay, now I'm gonna wet the bottom part. It's gonna be a little bit more tricky because it has letters. Feels like it has more corners and angles. Getting a tide line right there. Okay, now I'll just let this come down. Hopefully the moisture matches what's already on there. Get this a little darker. Do the same thing over here. That actually wasn't that hard. Now I'm going to just soften that. I like it. We want it all to be soft. Like right here needs to be softened because that light's coming out and lighting up the area around it. I love how this came out. This is so awesome. Even though I love how awesome it is, I love the blue, I love the different values of blue. It's not a perfectly flat wash. I love that because that's kind of what light does in a window, right? I don't love this clump of pigment that got there, and this snuck up on me right here. I wanted these to be soft, so I'm going to use a little bit of scrubber and just soften them up. You just need some water on it and just gently scooch it along and dab. Even down here, it snuck up on me. It stopped where the water stopped. I don't know, I just didn't notice it, or if it did it while I was blow drying. It's easy enough to fix. These are not staining colors. They're easy to wipe up. Actually, I kind of like the effect that they're having. I may go around the whole thing at this point. That looks really good. Doesn't that look great? I just love this. I think I'm going to do that around the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so that you don't have to watch me scrub. In trying to fix this, I've noticed that it looks really good with a little bit darker value in the background. And I think I've gone insane, but I'm going to go ahead and do the background again with some indanthrone blue. I'm going to use a big brush. I'm going to do it on dry paper. I'm going to start in the corner. Doesn't that look good? And since the scrubbing worked so well, I'm just going to do that when it dries. I'm not going to worry about it. This doesn't come out totally flat. Like I said before, I really liked how it looks splotchy, because that's how it looks in a window. Sometimes I can't talk and paint at the same time. You've probably noticed. And actually knowing that I'm going to be scrubbing is making this much easier, much less stressful. I'm always, trying to hurry and get the wash on before it dries somewhere else and I have to fix it. But not this time. Now I can go over this mistake down here and it won't look like I fixed a mistake. You don't have to do a second layer. I just felt like it looked better with another layer. Indanthrone in Winsor & Newton and indanthrone, I think, are the same thing. Okay. I did the last round of scrubbing off camera and I just love this result. Again, many thanks to Peggy Dean on YouTube for getting me started on painting neon. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And I will see you next Friday. Have a great day.